for 1.5 hours. So this session will cover an overview of the status of implementation of 3 COP5 decisions. Decision MC5/2 on Mercury supply sources and trade, MC5/3 on the study on mercury compounds, including a presentation on the draft study, which is available on our website for review by parties and stakeholders. And then on decision MC5/5 on cosmetics. And this part will include a presentation on the preparation of a report on cosmetics listed in part 1 of Annex A to the Convention. So as a reminder of what decision MC5/2 contains, we have highlighted a few requests that were issued by COP5 to the Secretariat. So one of these requests was to compile for consideration at COP6 information submitted by parties on experiences and challenges faced in the implementation of Article 3 on supply sources and trade, as well as information on activities undertaken in relation to the Bali Declaration on combating illegal trade in mercury. And this information is to be submitted by the end of this month by parties. Then COP5 also requested the Secretariat to draft an update to the existing guidance on stocks adopted in decision MC1/2. COP5 further requested the Secretariat to support parties in better understanding the trade provisions and the use of the trade forms. It also requested the Secretariat to work on awareness-raising activities related to the provisions of the Convention on allowed uses and sources of mercury, and finally, requested the Secretariat to develop guidance to assist parties in identifying, managing, and reducing mercury trade for primary mercury mining. So this is an overview of what are the key requests contained in COP5 decision. We'll go through each one of them in the next few slides, and please, if you have any questions, you can use the chat, as we will end this part of the presentation with a Q&A, and we will prioritize questions in the chat box. So moving on, so this is how we are planning on presenting the agenda item on mercury supply sources and trade at COP6. So the Secretariat will prepare a working document on the implementation of Article 3 and also a related decision adopted at COP5. And this includes the decision I just mentioned, MC5/2 on mercury supply sources and trade, but also decision MC5/3 on the study of the global supply, production, trade, and use of mercury compounds. The document will include 2 annexes, one with the updates to the guidance on stocks and sources as requested by COP5, another annex with the draft guidance to assist parties in identifying, managing, and reducing mercury trade from primary mercury mining, again, as requested by COP5. And the document will cover the guidance, the updates, but also information on challenges related to the implementation of Article 3 and illegal trade, as requested by COP5 decision, as well as the relevant outcomes of the work of the Implementation and Compliance Committee during the intersessional period. In addition, the working document will also include information documents, one containing the study of the global supply, production, trade, and use of mercury compounds, which we'll look into later during this presentation. And then there will be a compilation of all the information on experiences and challenges faced in the implementation of Article 3, as well as information on activities undertaken in relation to the Bali Declaration. And we will come back to this information also later during this presentation. So, regarding the challenges to Article 3 implementation and the Bali Declaration, as I mentioned, this was a request contained in Decision MC5/2, and the Secretariat, in response to this request, is compiling information on experiences and challenges. The deadline for submission by parties is end of this month. So the exercise is still ongoing. Just a quick reminder on the Bali Declaration, which is a non-binding political declaration that was launched by Indonesia at the margins of COP 4.2 in Bali in 2022. And the declaration received expressions of support from regional groups and some delegations. So far, the submission we have received from Canada, Burkina Faso, Peru, Senegal, and Togo identified the following main challenges: illegal re-export of mercury, illegal transit, illegal trade of mercury for ASGM purposes, unknown origin of traded mercury, and also information on enforcement response to illegal trade. All these submissions, as I mentioned earlier, will be compiled into an information document that will also be submitted to COP6 for consideration as requested by Decision MC5/2. To note is that the Implementation and Compliance Committee expressed concern regarding the issue of illicit trafficking, illegal trade, or smuggling of mercury raised by some parties in their national reports, and also decided to re-examine this issue at its next meeting, also in light of the information compiled by the Secretariat under this exercise. Now, moving on to another topic on the guidance on stocks, which was also requested in Decision MC5/2. The guidance on the identification of stocks and sources of mercury to include, so the review was to include, an update was to include types of action that could be taken to fulfill the continuing obligation to endeavor to identify stocks and sources. You see on the top right of the slide the obligation in Article 3, paragraph 5A, according to which each party shall endeavor to identify individual stocks of mercury or mercury compounds exceeding 50 metric tons, as well as sources of mercury supply generating stocks exceeding 10 metric tons per year that are located within its territory. The following activities have been undertaken so far to fulfill this request. First of all, a review of data on measures reported under question 3.3 of the reporting format on stocks and sources. And then a survey was issued to parties who responded yes to this question to solicit further information on types of action taken and experts. And the deadline for such submission is the 28th of March, 2025. Then the next steps for the preparation of this updated guidance is to develop the draft supplemental guidance and to circulate a draft for supplemental guidance for comment into the second quarter of 2025. Here again, it is worth noting that the Implementation Compliance Committee reviewed responses of parties to the relevant questions on stocks and noted that parties who solely rely on their Minamata initial assessment results may need to consider more up-to-date sources of information, also considering that Decision MC4/8 requests parties to continue their ongoing efforts to endeavor to identify stocks and sources of mercury. Moving on to another request from COP5 on guidance on mercury trade from primary mercury mining. The Secretariat is preparing a draft guidance to assist parties in identifying, managing, and reducing mercury trade from primary mercury mining. And this work is funded by the EU and Spain. The Secretariat has conducted a scoping of possible guidance. So last year we worked on a scoping of such guidance as part of a project on trade and emissions funded by the European Union. The guidance and forms on mercury trade adopted at COP1 already require exporting parties to indicate whether the mercury comes from primary mercury mining, and in the case of import from non-parties, importing parties are to check that the imported mercury does not come from primary mercury mining. We plan to further look into technical matters in identifying mercury from primary mercury mining so that such mercury is appropriately identified and controlled in line with the requirements of Article 3. Moving on to the next slide, I would like to give you a quick overview of the work of the Secretariat done to support parties in understanding the obligations contained in Article 3 on supply sources and trade. Here, the Secretariat developed Minamata Online Season 4, the past season, where two sessions were organized on implementing trade-related provisions of the convention, and also on a second Minamata Online is available on our website, and you can find both of them on our website. And we also developed a training on mercury added products and waste. The materials and recording are available on our website in 6 UN languages, and you have the links in the slide. And then the Secretariat also developed some Minamata tools with some modules on mercury trade and products. This was done thanks to the general contribution of the European Union, Switzerland, and Sweden. And so in these modules, more information or more in-depth information is provided on what are the actual requirements and provisions of the convention related to mercury trade and trading in mercury products. The Secretariat, with the funding of the EU, developed also some communication material on mercury trade. We have a fact sheet that was issued last year. You see a picture of it here on this slide. And also the Secretariat is developing a training for customs and trade officials in cooperation with the World Customs Organization. And this will be soon available on the WCO platform, CLIC. And we are also currently updating the Green Customs Guide in collaboration with UNEP to develop an updated chapter on the Minamata Convention. This was also to respond to the COP5 request to encouragement to parties to promote joint campaigns and training opportunities to strengthen the capacity of enforcement officers, including customs officers, to control mercury trade at the national level. And here you also see a picture of a workshop that we organized in June last year on mercury trade on the margins of the Planet Gold Global ASGM Forum in the Philippines. So this concludes our overview of how the Secretariat is implementing Decision 5/2 on mercury supply sources and trade. And now I would like to open a new overview of implementation of Decision MC 5/3 on the study on mercury compounds. So in response to this decision, and also recalling paragraph 13 of Article 3, which is also shown in this slide, the Secretariat has developed a draft study of the global supply, production, trade, and use of mercury compounds. As you may recall, Article 3, paragraph 13, states that the Conference of the Parties shall evaluate whether the trade in specific mercury compounds compromises the objective of this convention, and consider whether specific mercury compounds should, by their listing in an additional annex adopted in accordance with Article 27, be made subject to paragraph 6 and 8 of Article 3. And these are the trade requirements, or the trade procedure that is so far only applies to elemental mercury. So the draft study, the link is available on the slide, is currently available on our website for review by parties and stakeholders who were invited to submit comments using a specific form, which is also linked into this slide, by the 5th of March this year. And so far, we have received comments from Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Canada, EU, Japan, Peru, NRDC, the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and Zero Mercury Working Group. This study is being conducted thanks to the general contribution of Canada and Spain. So before we go into our Q&A session, which will be open after the next few slides, I would like to give you a brief overview of the content of the study. So here is the scope of the study. You see the table of content also in the slide. The study covers the mercury compounds currently identified in Article 3, paragraph 1b of the Convention, but also covers mercury compounds subject to national reporting regulations by one or more parties to the Convention, and other mercury compounds whose trade may compromise the objective of the Convention. The study identifies sources of mercury compounds. It also identifies major international vendors of mercury compounds. It identifies the industrial processes that produce significant quantities of mercury compounds as a byproduct. And finally, it identifies uses of mercury compounds in products and processes. And it also provides an overview of global trade of mercury compounds. Here are the key areas of the study, which are three. First of all, the market value of exported elemental mercury, which has increased significantly since some major mercury mining operations were closed, and especially since the cross-border trade of elemental mercury has gone under increasing restrictions. Then a second area of focus is the value of national supplies of elemental mercury. Domestically available mercury that cannot be exported is typically much cheaper, which could serve as an incentive to increase the production of mercury compounds for the express purpose of cross-border trade, but with the intention of subsequently recovering the mercury for resale after trade. And then the use of mercury compounds in skin lightening creams. Several mercury compounds have been or continue to be added to skin lightening creams, which is a use that is to be phased out under the Convention. So taking into account all these considerations and implications with regard to trade, the study has evaluated the following most common mercury compounds You see them here all listed. The first 6 listed on the left side of the slide are those listed in Article 3, paragraph 1b. But in addition to these, the study also looks into other compounds of interest. So to conclude my overview of the study, this is my last slide, which identifies the draft conclusions. This table is to serve as a guide on how these conclusions were identified. We see that all the compounds that were reviewed at the top of the table were reviewed against some key characteristics like the number of producers, the volume of commercial production, the volume generated as a byproduct, the ease of production, the volume of cross-border trade, the ease of recovering elemental mercury, and also the extent of reported use in skin lighting products. And in light of these characteristics that you see at the bottom of the table, conclusion relating to the likelihood of these compounds being used to bypass mercury trade restrictions. So overall, the draft final conclusions are that the 6 mercury compounds listed in Article 3 are likely to be produced and traced and traded for the purpose of bypassing restrictions on the trade of elemental mercury. The production of these compounds, as well as the recovery of elemental mercury from any of these compounds, is relatively straightforward. Also, the study concludes that mercury acetate, mercury chloride, and mercury iodide that are not listed in Article 3 are also likely to be used to bypass restrictions on trade. Then the study points out evidence of recent trade of mercury amidochloride for the purpose of producing mercury-added skin lightening products. And finally, the study identifies evidence that mercury iodide, mercury chloride, and mercury oxide have been used to produce mercury-added skin lightening products. I will stop here my presentation and now open the floor for some questions. With the support of my colleague Eiza Kutoda, who will also help me facilitate this session, this Q&A session, and respond to any question you may have on a methodology of the study, but also on technical and more technical issues.
Thank you, Lara. May I jump in?
Sure.
Okay, so perhaps Pablo, you can stop sharing this screen, and thank you, Lara. And before opening the floor for comments, I would like to repeat that we are going to take the questions in the chat box. So if you have any question, please use the chat box. And Lara made presentations on 2 corporate decisions, 5/2 on trade and supply sources and trade, and 5/3 specific to the mercury compounds. And she presented it in one go, but we had planned to take questions about the 5/2, but since we didn't have question in the chat box, we just moved on to 5/3. So if you have any question on 5/2, you can put it on the chat box. I think we received one question, are there any training courses or meetings soon regarding Minamata Convention? And this, we are in the middle of the season 5 of the Minamata Online, but I think this is the last one for which we haven't announced the date. But we are going to announce the next several sessions very soon. So please please watch our website, or perhaps you can subscribe to our newsletter. If my memory is correct, we are going to have a training session on national reporting in 2 weeks' time. And and yes, one okay, and then I would like to uh, to speak to some questions that we received. So I think I would like to ask Pablo to share the screen again, and uh, and the slide 10 is about it speaks about what uh, which parties submit comments. So we received comments from several parties, and also several stakeholders by the Wednesday, 5th of March deadline. And we have received uh, request to extend the deadline, and individually we have responded to those parties that okay, we will wait for a week or so. But if you have uh, because of the document preparation schedule, it is very difficult to receive late comments, but it's still okay to receive comments in a week or so. But after that, it would be very difficult to take these comments into account in the document preparation. So we have reviewed the comments that we have received so far, and there are several types of comments. For example, we received uh, uh, information about the regulations some parties already have on the trade in mercury compounds, or some parties provided more exact information about the trade statistics, or the companies and so on. And we very much appreciate these comments. Secondly, I think there's a comment on there are comments on the use of these trade statistics, uh, especially the Comtrade or Eurostat. And we are aware of these limitations, and there are discrepancies between the information that are reported into Comtrade from exporting countries and the importing countries. But uh, 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 we still use these pieces of information with these noting these limitations, and we believe that the conclusions hold in spite of these discrepancies. And I think I would like to ask Pablo to go to the slides 13 about because some participants wanted to see the draft conclusions. Okay, so and then my third point is that there are comments about the terminology like production, byproduct, and waste, and this also relates to uh, uh, the matter of whether an observed trade is a trade in products or waste. And we will look into these terminology issues carefully in our revision, when we finalize the report. So I think I will stop here, and I think you may have time. You may have had time to uh, to yeah. Well, I don't see uh, comments. Sorry. So I'm looking at the chat. One question: can you tell us if there are any strategies and what ones to tackle the black market at the borders, since the market value of Mercury has increased? So thank you very much for this question. Lara, do you want to respond to this question?
Thank you, Isaku. I'm not aware of these strategies being included in the draft study. If this is the question, if it relates to the study itself, or if it's more related to the trade in elemental mercury. Probably this is what the question is about. So my understanding, this is not about the study that you see on the screen now on mercury compounds, more in general about illegal trade of elemental mercury. In terms of what the Secretariat has done with respect to creating awareness and supporting parties with respect to issues related with the implementation of Article 3, which relates to exports and imports between parties and non-parties of elemental mercury. We have indicated in the earlier slides how training material, awareness raising material on what are the obligations and on the use of trade forms that are to be used to obtain consent to exporting mercury, elemental mercury from the importing party or non-party. So the Secretariat has produced some material to enable parties to better implement, hopefully, the trade-related provisions of under Article 3 by developing these products and also by partnering with the World Customs Organization in developing some targeted training for customs officers at the border to identify and mercury and also elemental mercury, and also on how to deal with seized mercury at the border and how to store it. And this will also be reflected in the updated version of the manual for custom officers that we are updating in collaboration with UNEP, as mentioned earlier in our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. And if I may supplement a little bit. So as Lara presented earlier, the COP5 request to Secretariat to put together the submissions from parties about the challenges in implementing Article 3, including the trade control, and also it addresses the Bali Declaration. So the issue of illegal trade is something that COP6 would like to revisit to in view of how the international community can address such issues. This is about trade, and I think the question was about the black market, which is the sales of mercury, which is not perhaps directly addressed in the Minamata Convention, but uh, in on the in the developing report on the mercury-added cosmetics, which I would like to present later. The online sales and informal sales, these issues are identified as issues to be addressed. So these issues may be related to each other. I'm looking at the chat, and from Shika Whitelock Valency, this is about skin lightening products. So I think we will handle this after my presentation on the skin lightening products. But before that, also on HM is a report detailing which countries are the main producers of the mercury and then the main importers. So this is something we cannot find from the trade statistics, and of course we are aware of the report like uh, the grid Arundel report that includes the estimate of informal mercury flow from the statistics of the gold production and so on. But the informal flow of mercury is something that is very difficult to understand, to have the whole picture. So thank you very much. So any do we see any other questions? So currently we don't see questions. Perhaps we may have time for some oral questions. If any of the participants, attendees have any question, you can raise your hand. I think we can take one or perhaps two. I see Abdul Karim LY. So I think Abdul, can you? I'm trying to unmute him, but Pablo, can you help? Oh, it seems that we have an issue on unmuting. We have tried to unmute you, but it doesn't seem to work technically. So one question from Duban Canal. A number of organizations are preparing a report at the regional level for the Amazon region of Mercury impacts. We don't meet the deadline, but is it still possible to present it afterwards? Uh, the we have in terms of the COP documents, we have quite a strict rule about uh, the, the preparation and distribution of COP documents. So the deadline for comments on the compound study, it has passed, and we can wait for a week or so, but we would not be able to wait further. And the in terms of the challenges in implementing Article 3, the deadline is the 31st of March. So we would be, it would be great if we can receive input by that time, even if that is not the final uh, uh, report of that organization. I think this is this. I hope this is helpful. Okay. So I don't see any other hand. So I think we can move on to the cosmetics study. And while presenting the where we stand with the cosmetics study, if you have any further question on the mercury compounds issues, we may be able to handle this after my presentation. So I think I will then move on to the next, the third item, which is the decision MC 5/5 on cosmetics. So now I am, my name is Sakutoda again, and I'm in charge of the scientific and technical issues in the Minamata Convention Secretariat, and I am speaking to the decision MC 5/5 on cosmetics. Exact title of the decision, preparation of the report on cosmetics, listed in part 1 of Annex A to the convention. So the corporate invited parties and relevant stakeholders to submit information to the Secretariat by the 30th of June 2024, last year, on challenges in preventing the manufacture, import, and export of mercury added cosmetics, as well as on current or proposed measures for addressing these challenges. Submissions were received from 23 parties and 8 organizations, and they were posted on the convention website. And the draft report, which has being developed funded by the EU in cooperation with WHO and the Global Mercury Partnership, will be posted on the website soon. And the outline was presented at the JEF project stakeholders meeting on the 30th of January 2025. So my presentation is based on the presentation I made at the stakeholders forum, and the the photo on the bottom right is uh, uh, a uh, meeting, a high-level meeting on skin lightening products held in Libreville, Gabon, in January under the JEF-funded project. And we note that the high-level participants discuss what they call a Libreville commitment to eliminate skin lightening, mercury added skin lightening products, and we really look forward to receiving the message from this meeting. So moving on to the next slide. As this, this is what the decision MC5/5 says, and I spoke about the paragraph 1, the submission, and the paragraph 2 requests the secretariat to prepare a report. And uh, note that, please note that in paragraph 1, this is about the challenges in preventing the manufacture, import, and export of cosmetics, mercury added cosmetics, which is under for which parties have obligation to address. But the COP5 noted that there may be issues beyond the manufacture, import, and export. So in paragraph 2, the COP requested the Secretariat to put together a report, including several topics. The firstly, the phasing out sales and offers of sales of mercury added cosmetics. So please note that sales are not directly regulated under the current uh, uh, Article 4 of the Convention and Annex A, Part 1. And then secondly, the strategies for discouraging the marketing, advertising, and display of mercury added cosmetics. The thirdly, advisories, detention lists, and prohibited substances list concerning mercury added cosmetics. And fourthly, licensing and product ingredient approvals for cosmetics manufacturing facilities. Next, and then developing and implementing product safety pledges for online platforms and raising awareness of the hazard of skin lightening products use among physicians, dermatologists, and beauty center staff, as well as consumers and family members. Next slide, please. So the uh, 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 information was submitted from the 23 parties and 8 organizations listed here, and there's a link to the to access these submissions. The next slide presents the draft structure of the report, which starts with the chapter 1 introduction. Explaining the background on the objectives of the report, and chapter 2 describes the process of preparing the report. Chapter 3 provides an overview of the submissions and also includes specific sections on the input from the Global Mercury Partnership and from WHO. And to note is that the Global Mercury Partnership is explicitly mentioned in the decision MC5/5. Chapter 4 is the main body of the report. This is organized along the specific topics mentioned in decision 5/5. I'm not going to read these, but from point 4.1 to point 4.7, which are the topics mentioned in 5/5. And the other matters than these specific topics are described in section 4.5, 4.8, sorry. The next slide, please. So the section 4.1, preventing the manufacture, import, and export of mercury added products. Information on existing laws and regulations and manufacture of mercury added cosmetics were reported from many parties, but many of the African countries reported that there is no manufacture of mercury added cosmetics and therefore no regulations. Several parties reported in regulations of import of mercury added cosmetics, and also some parties reported on the planned regulations. The next slide, please. So, section 4.2 of the report is about phasing out sales and offers of sales of mercury-added cosmetics. Currently, the Minamata Convention only controls manufacture, import, and export of mercury-added cosmetics. However, in case of cosmetics, many parties regulate sales of cosmetics containing hazardous substances under Consumer Product or Pharmaceuticals regulations. The next slide, please. 4.3 is about strategies for discouraging the marketing, advertising, and display of mercury-added cosmetics. This is also an aspect not controlled by the Minamata Convention, but many parties reported on regulatory measures. Similarly, with the previous topic under the Consumer Product of Pharmaceuticals regulations. The next slide, please. So 4.4, advisory detention list and prohibited substance list concerning mercury cosmetics. Information reported under this heading is very much related to the information in the previous 3 sections on manufacturing, sales, and marketing. Next slide, please. Section 4.5. This is about licensing and product ingredient approvals for cosmetics manufacturing facilities. The information here relates to the regulation of manufacturing of cosmetics. Some parties reported that their regulations is not based on individual licensing or approvals. So this is a matter of how the cosmetics are regulated. The manufacturing of cosmetics is regulated in each jurisdiction. And the section section 4.6 is about developing and implementing product safety pledges for online platforms. This is an area where various policy measures are emerging. Several parties reported on the monitoring of online platforms. Specific measures reported include the Canadian Product Safety Pledge launched in 2023 and the European Union's voluntary memorandum of understanding. The next slide, please. 4.7 is about raising awareness of the hazards of skin lightening product use. Many parties reported on their awareness raising activities. And yes, 4.8 includes measures not categorized into the previous sections. The points raised here include aligning local regulations with international standards, laboratory capacity, especially at borders, to be strengthened with equipment such as the XRF. Carry out national global inventory of mercury-added cosmetics, providing mechanisms for the disposal of cosmetic products containing mercury, providing a baseline for the use of cosmetic products containing mercury, collaboration of international regulatory bodies, collaboration between customs and market surveillance authorities, promote research and development of cosmetic products free of mercury, facilitate cooperation among the member countries of the Global Mercury Partnership from UNEP to develop and implement common international standards. So I think this is my last slide. So the next steps. So this is MC 5/5 request the Secretariat to make a draft report public by the 31st of March this year for comments. And the Secretariat will revise the report after receiving comments. We will revise the report based on the comments and prepare a COP6 document. So this report, the note is that the decision 5/5 is the development of a report on mercury-added cosmetics, and that report will be the one of the documents for COP6 for their further consideration. I think I will stop here and open for question. So I think I parked one question in the chat from Sherika Whitelock Baring Singh Karpin. Thanks for the and I know that she's from Jamaica. So thanks for the presentation. My question is in regards to skin lightening additives. Is the result for the product tests are for the registered products on the market or illegal product? And my follow-up question would be, if registered product were detected, how will this be dealt within the countries under the Bureau of Standards for Products and the Public Health Regulations? I think I note that since this question from is from an participant from Jamaica, she may be speaking about the Jeff-funded project on skin lightening products, which is being implemented in Jamaica, Sri Lanka, and Gabon. And we note that the development of database and also the measurement is being undertaken. So the Minamata Convention Secretariat is not in a position to respond to the methodologies of this project. Perhaps you may wish you may ask this question to the WHO or UNEP or Biodiversity Research Institute that are executing this project. But we note that project is going on, and we very much look forward to the result from this exercise. So I see one hand, but I think we will prioritize the questions in the chat. Okay, so the report on the cosmetics report when we will be available, and we have been making efforts to make it available as early as possible. But the deadline mentioned in the decision 5/5 is by the end of March. So definitely we do so by the end of March, and we would like to do so as soon as possible. But since we are in March, if the draft report will be available in March. Also, the one question: what happens when the countries are just dumping mercury in the rivers that flow to another country? Is there any concern around it? So, yeah, this the Minamata Convention tries to address the mercury, the emissions releases mercury, and also use and supply, and also waste disposal. So if this is an issue of the disposal, inappropriate disposal of mercury. This is not in line with the obligations of the Minamata Convention, Article 11, the mercury waste, and also, of course, the emissions to air, releases to water and land are also regulated. So the Minamata Convention tries to control the such emission releases of mercury, and also, of course, the if this happens in the artisan small scale gold mining, this is something to be addressed under the National Action Plan pursuant to Article 7. I think we completed the questions in the chat, but since we have 20 minutes left, I think we can take up some oral questions. So if you have any question, please raise your hand, and then I note one question in the chat. So while waiting for hands raised, this question: in Bolivia, the import of mercury has dropped drastically thanks to the interventions of the Special Rapporteur on Toxics, Marco Soriana. I wanted to know if there is another experience like that. Well, as uh, uh, as evident from the Comtrade database, the official trade in mercury is really declining. So not only Bolivia, but for some other countries, we know that we are aware that in some countries the mercury trade has dropped, and for the evaluation of the effectiveness of the convention, the secretariat worked on the report on trade, supply, and demand, and from Comtrade we note the decline in the trade. But of course, the report also pointed out that we will need to take into account the illicit trade that are not captured in the trade statistics. So I would like to remind the participants that, as Lala mentioned, we are still welcoming the submissions on the challenges in implementing Article 3. So we look forward to receiving information by the end of this month for the attention of COP6. I think I don't see raised hands. and the ah, and no questions in the chat. So thank you very much to all the participants for your participation and also for all the questions. Yes, from Placido in Colombia, trade is prohibited, but seizures continue. Use in mining is present. So we do recognize that these pieces of information requires attention. Thank you very much. So, having said this, we look. Although the submission of comments on the cosmetics, no, sorry, the Mercury compounds report is over. If any of you have we wish to submit late comments, please contact us because we will not be able to wait for a long time. So we note that we are still waiting for some parties to provide a bit later comments, but we will not be able to take it, consider late comments unless you raise it very soon. And also we look forward to your submissions on the challenges in implementing Article 3 by the end of this month. And also after we publish the draft cosmetics report, we look forward to receiving comments. Thank you. Thank you very much, and have a nice rest of the day. Thank you.